This is Daniel Guajardo, and this is the first episode of the Breakdown. And my guest today is Bellator Flyweight Alexandra Ballou. First, I want to start by talking about how's your rehab going?
Uh, well, it's definitely a process. I've never been injured before in this way, so it's coming along nicely and definitely ahead of schedule. However, it's kind of just one of those things where it takes people, between 6 and 9 months, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So it's been a little frustrating, but getting there.
Yes, and I seen that they said you torn your ACL and your meniscus.
Yeah. So I had almost had the terrible. Wow, it's called the terrible triad, which is the MCL, ACL, meniscus. So I did sprain my MCL very badly, but I completely tore my meniscus and ACL. So it
Okay,
was pretty much out of commission.
and what's the average um like rehab time to come back on those kind of injuries?
So, I mean, from what I understand, after doing all this research and talking to doctors and going through this, it takes most people 8 or 9 months before they'll clear you. Because, once you get the surgery, I was shocked. Like, I lost all the muscle in my leg, all of it. It was just pretty much almost bone. So you have to, recover, and then you have to spend months building that muscle back and pretty much learning how to bend your knee again, walk, jog. It's one of those processes. So some people do it a little faster than that. But of course, if you do, there's always a risk of re-tearing it if you're not careful.
Yeah, and that's kind of a serious injury for someone that in your fights I noticed you like to do a lot of kicks.
Yeah, no kicks and grappling, and that's the thing. It's when you're in the fight and you have unexpected, weight shifts and pivoting. It's absolutely essential. And if your knee gives out, you know what I mean, and the fight gets called because of that, it's just a terrible way to lose.
Another thing I was gonna ask you was, has Bellator like kept in contact with you and or been checking up on you?
Um, yeah, I mean a little bit. I went to the fights the night I was supposed to fight in February to see Michael Venom Page and Paul Daly. So, I ended up running into Ian, a lot of the Bellator people, and talked to them. So definitely looking to get back in there as soon as possible and possibly even run it back with Sarah Payant or, whoever. So, you know,
Yeah.
just looking forward to it.
Do you have like an idea of maybe you a time where you think you might be able to start setting up like a fight or things like that to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, so it's up to my team, the doctors, and a whole load of people, but I am trying very, very hard to just stay committed to therapy and do everything in my power to get cleared by early summer, oh, not early summer, sorry, late summer, early fall. I would love to get back in the cage in October, October, November.
Awesome, awesome. Another thing going on is the flyweight division has been getting a lot of light lately. There's been a lot of fighters emerging in there, and I was just wondering what your thoughts are on the flyweight division.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. I like the depths they have there, and it's kind of funny. In the original, they didn't have Bellator has a big flyweight division. Even the UFC just created the flyweight division, and I see a lot of fighters who were making 115 are now moving to 125, or some girls who are at 135 who are smaller are now moving down to 125. So it's becoming quite a stacked division. So that's always good.
Is there anyone that you keep an eye on or follow in that division?
I mean, I look at the champ, I look at McFarlane, I watch all her fights. I keep an eye out on everybody, everyone coming up. Um, I enjoy all of it, and I'm always just looking at opponents, and I love getting in there and doing my thing. So I just watch everybody and everything and keep it in mind.
Yeah, yeah. Bellator does a real good job at promoting their women divisions and making them like actual equal. From what I noticed, like they keep them in the front line just as much as the guys.
Oh, absolutely, a lot of main events, female events. I just saw they announced Julia Budd defending her featherweight title in July. That's really cool. Definitely gonna be tuning into that. So
So
absolutely.
what got you into MMA?
I've always been super competitive and I did every sport growing up, karate, soccer, softball, tennis, you name it. And when I finished school, I didn't finish college, but when I went to school and everything, I kind of stopped competing and I realized that was the thing I loved the most. So, as women's MMA started to grow and I watched all these other girls doing it, you know, kind of fell in love with the idea of it and I started training jujitsu and then one day I just decided to go for it and it's been incredible.
That's great. That's great. I just rewatched your fight with Lisa Blaine, and in that fight you showed a lot of poise, and you showed that you could take a good punch because that was a real good back and forth fight.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I've previously fought amateurs, so that was my professional debut, and I had never fought in an arena of that stature before, in front of all those fans, and it was definitely a hometown crowd, so, my family and friends were all there. And that was the first time I've ever gotten nervous in a fight. I usually don't have pre-fight nerves, and that was the first time I'd ever dealt with that. And then, of course, Lisa's always game, and she had way more experience than me. So it was quite a good night, and I just tried my best to, stay focused on the game plan. It took me a little bit, but, executed what I wanted to.
Yeah, I noticed that was a fight where I think Bellator could have won either way about who won because Lisa Blaine had just came off of defeat with Juliton,
Hmm.
someone that they were looking forward to, and then you came on your debut. So I think like that kind of put a even bigger like spotlight on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched her fight many times against Hulaton to, get ready for her, and I know that she always brings it, and she's got a powerful overhand. So definitely wanted to use my wrestling and everything. And in the meantime, while I've been injured, I've been working a lot on my stand up. So
Okay,
definitely can't wait to use that again.
that's good. I noticed that Bellator has been having more 115-pound fights, and Kerry Melendez and Emily Ducote have been campaigning for a 115 division. Is that something that you might see yourself doing or going to if they decide to do that?
I mean, I think it would be awesome for them. I personally, I don't think I'll ever make 115. I'm pretty tall and lanky, and I walk around at about 140. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, for me to get to 125 is already, a bit of work. So I've never gone lower than that. So probably not. But, there are a lot of fighters out there who, like I said, they don't really cut a lot to make 125. So for 115, they'd have that size advantage.
What was one thing that you learned that could help you in your future fights?
I think it's with most fighters too, when in the moment, like right afterward, you kind of feel like you could have done things differently or better, and then you reflect and you watch your fight. I definitely hesitated spots where I shouldn't have, I felt, or, I could have been a lot busier. So it gave me a lot of stuff to work on. So I've definitely been trying to work on my hands more, throw a lot more volume, practice a lot more of that stuff. And then next time too, just I think that was really good for me to get over that, the nerves. So I don't think I'll have that same issue again. And I'm really looking forward to going out there and, you know,
That was one of
showing.
those fights where you actually showed all parts of your game. Like you held her on the cage. You showed your feet, and you showed that you could punch. You showed that you could face adversity, and then in the end, you kind of surprised like the crowd, like when you took her down and just started raining the elbows on. So I think that was a good debut. You got to finish also.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't, my corners tell me, they said, do you like decisions? And I said, absolutely not. And they're like, me neither. You better do something about it. And it's funny. At first, you're like, oh, 15 minutes. That was the first time fighting for 15 minutes. But it kind of went by really fast. So I realized in that third round I had better do something, and I really wanted that finish.
How do you channel all that anger? I noticed in some of your wins or before you fight, you have like one of the evilest stares I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I mean, of course it is a fight and it's a sport and all that, but when I go in there, I don't think of it that way. I just think of it as kill or be killed. So I just kind of try and hone in and channel that. And I just, to think about all the effort and work I put in, and it's not going to decision if I can help it. And I don't, it's not a competition. This is like war for me. So.
And your nickname is the Great Alexandra, the Great Ballou. How did you get that nickname?
My coach gave me that, and also my boyfriend. They both started calling me that, and just everyone liked it, and it kind of stuck. So
Okay.
kind of
Now,
fits with my name.
yeah. Now there's the title fight at Bellator 220 between Ilima McFarlane and Vita Ortega.
Hmm.
How do you see that fight going?
I think it's going to be really interesting because, from what I've seen, Ortega comes in swinging and she's really, really tough. And then McFarlane's always very calm, controlled, poised, and her submission game is amazing. So I think it kind of could go either way. I mean, I kind of think McFarlane's going to pull off another submission. She's just that good at it. But you never know. It's a fight. Anything can happen.
Is there anything else you would like to tell us, or maybe something we don't know, or is there any update or something?
Um, I just, I miss it so much more than people probably understand. I'm sure a lot of fighters, from who I've talked to who've had this injury understand that, and it's been really difficult, but I'm just really determined and cannot wait to get back in there, and do it all again. It's my favorite thing in the world, so yeah, I'm just going to be working on all of that and coming back around.
I'm very interested in seeing you back. I like your style, and I think it's something that's good for the division, especially with a lot of the fighters growing in this division. And I want to thank you for your time, and thank you for being on the first episode. Really appreciate you on the show, and we hope to see you back in the cage soon.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.